Hey everyone, here's my review of Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia. Apollo's Chariot opened in 1999 and it's a B&M Hyper Coaster. It has a top speed of 73 miles per hour, a max drop of 210 feet, a chain lift, and 0 inversions. In this review, I'm going to go over the layout and theming and rate the ride out of 10 based on these 4 categories: intensity, ride smoothness, duration, and fun factor. So starting with the layout. As you dispatch from the station, you start up the 170-foot tall lift, where you'll be given amazing views of Tempesto and the Busch Gardens parking lot. There will also be adventurous music playing while you ascend one of the tallest coasters in the park. Once you crest the top, you're greeted with a small pre-drop before falling 210 feet at a 65-degree angle. Due to the Busch Gardens terrain, some drops on Apollo's Chariot, like the first one, dive into ravines. So that's why the drop is taller than the lift hill height. In the front, you kind of float at the top while you wait for the rest of the train to fall, while in the back, you get yanked down. Because it is quite shallow, you only get floater airtime in the back rows, but you're dropping over 200 feet, so it's still solid toward the front. Following the drop is a pretty intense pullout, where you hit your max speed of 73 miles per hour. I like how you can really feel the speed in the front. Then, you rise into the first of many camelback hills on the ride, and I have to say, I was a bit disappointed. The airtime, frankly, is just weak. I mean, it's still there, but I was expecting more, and I was left underwhelmed. I do prefer the hill sitting in the front because you get pushed up into the hill, unlike in the back, where you get pulled over. After that, there's another airtime hill, but in contrast to the previous hill, you end with a twisted dive to the left. I think this hill is superior to the first because getting twisted and pulled down in the back is awesome. Then there's a very intense helix turnaround that pulls crazy, sustained positive Gs. Even in POVs when the train slows down at the top, you're still feeling intense forces. This was easily the most surprising part of Apollo's Chariot for me, just for how long you're sustaining the positives. Next, there's a shallow dive and a rise into the mid-course brake run. After some slight trims is one of the best moments of the entire coaster, and that's the drop off the mid-course. The front is okay during the element, but the back is a lot of fun. You still only get floater airtime, but the initial tug down the drop is amazing. Then, there's another weak floater hill that goes down into the ravine, a funky overbank, and a final drop that's very surprising if you're not expecting it. So now let's go over the theme. Apollo's Chariot is based on Roman mythology, with Apollo being the god of purity and the sun. Every day, Apollo was in charge of driving a celestial horse-drawn chariot where he was responsible for hauling the sun across the sky. One day, Apollo's son, Phaethon, wanted to drive the chariot across the sky. At first, Apollo refused to let him drive, but eventually, Apollo agreed. As soon as Phaethon got in the air, it was clear that he wasn't able to control the horses. When he went too high, the earth got too cold, and when he went too low, the earth got too hot. This part of the tale resembles the layout of Apollo's Chariot, with how you go up and down. Zeus, the father of Apollo, wasn't very happy with Apollo's irresponsible choice, so he killed Phaethon with a thunderbolt. The backstory of the ride is good, but the average guest isn't going to be able to know it unless they do some research. The queue and station don't have much theming, but it is covered, so that's nice on hot days. The trains also don't have much theming, but the head car does look nice and shiny. There isn't much theming during the ride, other than music going up the lift and a tunnel, but the amazing setting makes up for it. I have to mention the purple track because it's just so bold and beautiful, and I definitely think more roller coasters should be purple. Moving on to the part of the review where I rate the ride out of 10 based on 4 categories, starting with intensity. I wouldn't consider Apollo's Chariot to be an intense coaster. Besides the long helix turnaround, there aren't many positives and the airtime is weak. Still, it's 200 feet high and 73 miles per hour, so I'm giving Apollo's Chariot a 6 out of 10 for intensity. Next up, ride smoothness. Apollo's Chariot is a butter-smooth roller coaster that doesn't have any shake, rattle, or bad transitions. I rode in both the front and the back, and I experienced no roughness. This coaster also has the heavenly B&M clamshell restraints, so the entire coaster experience is extremely comfortable. So for Apollo's Chariot, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 for ride smoothness. Now for the third category, duration. Apollo's Chariot is a very long ride. From the time you dispatch to the time you hit the brakes, it's over 3 minutes. Usually, I like a long ride, but because I think Apollo's Chariot is repetitive and a bit boring sometimes, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. If we're just looking at the ride time, then Apollo's would easily get a 10. But since the dragged out and underwhelming layout doesn't do much for me, it gets a 7. Now for the final category, I'll be going over, and that's fun factor. I think Apollo's Chariot is a very fun and enjoyable roller coaster, so it's getting a 7 out of 10 in the category. The reason why I didn't give it a higher score is because, like I said with duration, it's boring and underwhelming at times. I have much more fun on more intense and crazier rides like Pantheon and Alpengeist. But for now, I still have fun every time I ride Apollo's Chariot, which earns it a 7. So for Apollo's Chariot's final score, I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. For it being B&M's first hypercoaster, they did very well, but it's just okay when compared to newer and better coasters. Other than some weak airtime hills, I don't have much to complain about with this ride. Apollo's Chariot is smooth, floaty, and intense at some points. It's an icon at Busch Gardens, and I can't imagine pulling up to the park and not seeing the massive 200-foot B&M. It fits in well with the park's lineup, and I think it's a perfect coaster for someone's first big ride. I prefer riding Apollo's in the back for the drops, but I still recommend trying the front so you can feel the speed. So, that's going to wrap up my review of Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. If you like this review, then please leave a like and consider subscribing for more theme park content. Thanks for watching to the end, and have a good day.